Okay, good evening, Harris County Judge Lina Hidalgo. I'm here with Chief Robert Osmus, the District Chief for the Wildlife Division at the Houston Fire Department, and the Incident Commander here. We also have Daniel Gravel, the Deputy Fire Chief of the Sheldon Fire Department, of course, Chief Lori Christensen, our Harris County Fire Marshal, Dr. Tina Peterson, Harris County Flood Control District Director, Douglas Harrison, on-duty Deputy Chief of the Houston Fire Department, and Travis Hobbs, who is the Incident Management Team Coordinator for the Houston Fire Department. So I will speak, Chief Osmus will speak, and then all these folks will be available to answer questions. As you all know, we are monitoring a wildfire that broke out near Greens Bayou, which is on the eastern side of a property owned by the Harris County Flood Control District. Why do we own this property? What is it exactly? So it's basically wetland that the Flood Control District has purchased to preserve so that when it rains, we have that area to absorb water and anyway for flood mitigation. It is a rather large area, so about 260 acres. I like to say an acre is about the size of a football field, so pretty large. Right now, as of this afternoon, we're looking at the fire being about 200 acres, and these folks are monitoring very, very closely. So I know folks have been receiving updates all day. What I was able to witness firsthand right now was just the extent of the collaboration by everybody. Are you good? Okay. And so the stage we're in right now, I would call cautiously optimistic. This is by no means over. We're going into the defining time of the fire and the incident. The reason we have some optimism is because these folks here that you see here and their teams and other jurisdictions have been working really hard to have areas, the containment lines, they're called, that will contain the fire if it begins to spread more overnight or tomorrow during the day. And beyond those containment lines, they have additional potential backup plans. And if that were to fail, the Texas Forest Service is on standby with helicopters and drones and additional resources if we were to need their support. Does that mean that we're confident we're going to be totally fine? By no means. It's Mother Nature. We can't control it. All we can do is prepare for the worst and hope for the best. So I want to thank the Harris County Flood Control District. One of the things, so we're looking at all the edges around the fire, right? On the south side, there is an existing gravel road. On the east side is Greens Bayou. And on the north side is a creek. P125 is part of Flood Control District map, and then on the west side there was a clearing. The Flood Control District has sent a crew of around just 4 people. They worked very, very hard throughout yesterday and today to expand that clearing so that now on all 4 sides of the fire there is enough space with the type of grass or covering that is not going to burn and feed the fire. So first responders have been out here since Saturday afternoon. They will remain stationed here overnight to continue monitoring conditions. They are going to be patrolling all of the areas, and if they see any little fire that has jumped the perimeter, those containment lines, then that is called a trigger for them. That's going to trigger additional action and just get everybody to work on what would be the next phase of this. What should people be concerned about? We do have a neighborhood south of here, neighborhood to the west, and the neighborhood to the south has been getting most of the smoke because we've had a north wind, but this is going to shift. So, okay, let's say that this were to hop the containment lines and to direction that has a neighborhood. I've asked and been assured that there would be enough time for us to warn residents, and that's a matter of hours of time, and we would go knocking doors. I'm not saying this because it's likely to happen. It's unlikely to happen. But I know people will ask these questions. So I'll let the chief explain this in more detail. But basically, we're going to see the wind shift from a north wind to a south wind, and the wind speed is going to pick up. So it's going to be like 20 miles an hour around 1 p.m. So this is really the crucial time to watch and see if the fire remains within the containment lines, which it should, because everybody's working really hard on that. And so as we continue monitoring the fire, local agencies will continue to coordinate. This is all, of course, precaution at some point or at this point, and the hope is that we're going to be over-prepared. Once we get through 1 p.m. tomorrow, the fire will have burned long enough to where it'll start cooling down, and there won't be really a concern of it growing, and then, you know, the incident commander and the experts will determine when it's appropriate to close down the incident. Let me give you just a little bit of information on the various agencies on site, but I will... Other than that, I'm going to repeat in Spanish, and then I will pass it on to the chief. So Sheldon Fire Department, as I mentioned, Flood Control District, City of Houston Fire Department, and the Harris County Fire Marshal. And then I wanted to see you guys the description of the resource, Tammy. It's sort of cut off, but anyway. So I'll share that with you guys later. All right, so just repeating in Spanish. Bueno, estoy aquí con el jefe de la división, de una división del Departamento de Bomberos de Houston, también el jefe del Departamento de Bomberos de Sheldon, y además Chief Christensen, nuestra líder de nuestro departamento de bomberos, y la doctora Tina Peterson, quien maneja nuestro distrito de control de inundaciones, además de sus equipos. Lo principal que quiero comunicar es que he venido personalmente a hablar con todos estos líderes de agencias y entender muy bien cuál es su plan para esta noche y mañana, que va a ser el momento más crítico de este incendio. Y fui a ver también el humo, les hice 1,000,000 de preguntas, y lo que veo es lo que había entendido yo durante el día y desde ayer, que hay una relación muy cercana entre todas estas agencias. Han trabajado juntos muchos años y por eso están trabajando de mano a mano en cuanto a tratar de contener este incendio. ¿Cuál es la situación al momento? Diría que tenemos un optimismo cauteloso. ¿Por qué? Bueno, estos grupos han trabajado por crear unas líneas de control del incendio. Se produjo un incendio forestal en el noreste del condado, y al crear esas líneas que previenen el que crezca el incendio, la probabilidad de que impacte a hogares o crezca pues y llegue a algo más problemático se reduce. Al sur hay una carreterita, a la derecha está el Bayou, Greens Bayou, al este. Al norte hay una cuenca, y al oeste el Distrito de Control de Inundaciones trabajó todo el día, 4 hombres, para construir también un camino bien amplio que vaya a contener el incendio forestal. Si el incendio continúa creciendo y llega a estos bordes pues, que se han creado, la idea es que no hay material para que siga quemando. El plan es que durante la noche y mientras nos acercamos a la 1 de la tarde mañana, cuando los vientos van a llegar a alrededor de 20 millas por hora, bastante altos, que el incendio no vaya a cruzar ese perímetro. Si fuera a cruzar el perímetro, ahí sí estamos en otra fase más grave del incidente, y están todos monitoreando, estos oficiales y bomberos, monitoreando el perímetro para ver si eso sucede. Si fuera a suceder, se activa el departamento estatal que maneja este tipo de incidentes. Tienen helicópteros, tienen drones, de todo para poder contener ese incendio. Hay vecindarios al sur y al oeste. Los vecindarios tendrían más de 2 horas, me han dicho los expertos, para evacuar. Iríamos de casa en casa, pero esto es una precaución. La probabilidad es muy baja. Ya eso dicho, es la madre naturaleza. Y finalmente nosotros no la controlamos. Lo que podemos hacer es prepararnos lo mejor posible y me siento muy orgullosa de la preparación que han hecho y la he visto yo personalmente. Estamos observando atentamente el pronóstico del viento para mañana y bueno, la preocupación es eso, el viento que arrastre el incendio sobre el pasto, y seguimos al tanto y preparándonos. Lo que necesitamos de los residentes es simplemente mantenerse atentos, especialmente si está en esta área noreste del condado, saber que los mantendremos informados, pero si pasa mañana a la 1 de la tarde y no se ha esparcido ese incendio, entonces ya empezará a bajar la temperatura y el riesgo pasará y los bomberos dirán que ya se ha terminado el incidente. Esperemos que esa sea la situación y bueno, entonces los mantendremos informados. Let me pass it on to Chief Osmus, the District Chief of the Wildlife Division at the Houston Fire Department and the Incident Commander for this incident.
Thank you, Judge. Chief Osmus, Houston Fire Department, IC with the Houston Wildland Fire Division. So we received the first call for service. It went to multiple fire departments at 1600 on Saturday afternoon. Crews arrived on location. They quickly evaluated. They did have a deep-seated fire within a wooded area. At the time, it was decided by the on-scene incident commander to request the Houston Wildland Fire Division. That's where I showed up. I tied in with that incident commander, and we briefed about the conditions they had. At that point, our regular units that are assigned to the fire stations were released back to service so they can continue making 911 calls, fires, EMS calls for service to protect the public. Command was transferred over to the Wildland Division at that time, and we set up a unified command starting off with the Harris County Flood Control District. The property does belong to them. At that point, we started making objectives to manage the fire. That first evening, it was kind of a defensive posture that we took due to the size of the fire, the unknown area, and some safety factors. Once morning came, we were able to get crews inside, evaluate the fire, determine the size. At that time, on Sunday morning, approximately 100 acres had already burned. The goals and the objectives at that time was to determine containment lines, specifically on the south side of the fire, because we did have strong north winds and low humidity. For the next 36 hours, a lot of time was spent to continue building those control lines and prepare for the fire. At the same time, we were looking ahead 24 to 48 hours where a wind shift was going to be possible. So as we were developing the lines on the south, we were making plans to work on the west and north end. That's where our partners that were in the Unified Command were able to supply heavy equipment, and then we were able to construct lines specifically on the west side near the neighborhood. I will give appreciation to the Harris County Flood Control District. They were able to provide heavy equipment and personnel at a late minute notice on a Sunday and begin to work. They worked through Sunday, and then this morning crews came back out and they were able to complete that containment line. And at that point, this afternoon, we had containment line, whether it was man-made or natural barriers around the whole fire. At that time, we had approximately 200 acres that have been burned, and we were monitoring using aircraft, we were using drones, and people on the ground to verify the size of the fire and the conditions. Good progress was made during that time while we were protecting the south and preparing for the wind shift. So for today, the fire activity actually did decrease, and we were able to hold the line on the south while preparing all the actions and containment lines on both the east and north side and the west side. So at this time, starting tomorrow morning, we're going to be monitoring when that wind shift happens. It's going to start early this morning. By 8 a.m., the wind will be completely out of the south. By approximately 1300 in the afternoon, we expect about 15-mile-an-hour winds and gusts being greater than that. And that's what's going to wind test the fire. We have multiple assets in place, whether it be using TranStar cameras, using drones to monitor the northern edge of this fire to make sure it holds. Along with those plans, we have contingency lines and plans in place. There are trigger points in case the fire were to break containment. We have other resources and other agencies that we're in contact with that we can bring in to assist if the fire were to escape containment on the north side. So at this time, 200 acres is burned. We're calling it 75% contained as of this evening. Judge?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Do you guys have any questions?
I guess is it easier just to let it burn out at this point?
So that's part of the strategy. So a wildland fire is going to be different than industrial fires. It's going to be different than house fires. House fires, we can be there in a matter of hours. A wildland fire, a lot of times, especially this size, is not measured in hours. It's going to be in days. And there's a lot that goes into it. Weather's a big part. The fuel that is burning is another part of that. So right now we're into day 2 of it. As far as a wildland fire, this is not long. So far, everything has gone as we predicted. Mother Nature is Mother Nature. But we've put plans in place. Everything has gone as we predicted. We've been working with the National Weather Service to give us weather updates, and those have been very accurate. So coordination amongst all the parties involved have made it where we can make these plans. And so 2-3 days is really not a long time. I know this is in an urban area. We have a lot of houses and businesses. There's a lot of anxiety and stress involved, and rightfully, because you live right next to a fire that's grown to 200 acres, and we're not making light of that. But all things considered, our plans and the fire behavior has been predictable, and we've made contingency plans in case something unpredictable happens.
So the biggest concern right now is if the winds grow tomorrow and then shifts the fire.
Correct. So we know they're going to change, and we know they're going to increase 15 to 20 or a little bit more. And that's why part of our plans that we've been working on since Saturday, has been in preparation for that, because we knew this wind shift would be coming. We looked 3-4 days out. Even though we're mitigating a north wind at the time, I already know that I'm going to have a south wind, and there's going to be a potential change in the fire behavior and direction. And so looking into that, we started making plans that has to do with bringing our resources in from other agencies to help build those lines, knowing that this wind shift is going to change. So that part is not unexpected. We know it's going to happen. We're preparing for it. And somewhat confident that it's going to hold, but we do have plans in case it does not. I would say again, it is Mother Nature. We can only predict as much as we can, but we plan for the worst.
How much distance between the fire and the south?
On the south side, it's going to be several hundred yards. And that first night into the second day, that was the biggest concern, because we had that north wind blowing towards the south. And so we spent a lot of time, a lot of resources on the south side of the fire. There was already a natural barrier that we were able to utilize, and we extended that using different strategies and tactics to make sure the fire would not jump. And so a lot of effort and a lot of manpower was directed to that south side, because that was the immediate danger. But at the same time, we did have partner agencies coming in and assisting for what we knew would be coming later in a couple days.
Kind of putting this in perspective too, how common are these big wildland fires right here here in city limits?
It does happen. On the west side, we do have the Addicks and the Barker reservoirs. We've made numerous fires out there. We'll make fires in vacant lots that might be 20 acres that are overgrown. So it does happen. It's not uncommon. I will not say it happens all the time, but it's not rare.
Can we talk about the conditions? The lack of rain, is that kind of fueling all of this because everything is kind of dry?
Absolutely. When it comes to wildland fire, weather and topography and the fuels is what will determine what happens. So we have been going through a drought as a whole. We've had a little bit of rain here and there, but a lot of the fuels have already dried out. They've cured this time of year. So that rain will affect our 1 hour fuels, which is your light flashy fuels like your grasses. They'll absorb really quickly the moisture if they're still not in the dormant phase. But they'll also lose that moisture really quick once the sun comes up. We've also had very low humidity. Yesterday, The humidity was in the mid-20s, which is low for this region. Comparison, if you look towards the Panhandle, 20% humidity, that vegetation has a hard time burning. Down here, 40% humidity, vegetation will burn. So we're in the mid-20s. That kind of gives a perspective. Today, we are down into the teens with the humidity. Play into how the fire reacts, the expected fire behavior that we have, and that leads us or kind of dictates the actions that we take and what strategies we use to contain the fire.
I do want to add some
Yes, ma'am.
things before. Yes, go ahead. Let me just add a couple things. We're getting a list of resources, and we might have to just send that to you guys. But just a couple of things as far as the neighborhood. There's also a neighborhood to the west, and contrary to one due south, that extends. So when I ask, well, how many homes are at risk, you could count all the way west. The sense obviously is, there has been as much preparation as could possibly be done. That was my first question, right? What about the people? What about the neighborhoods? And so that's where I'm sharing, I am confident that these folks are very knowledgeable. They've done all that can be prepared a contingency, and a contingency for the contingency, and then another one. And there should be time to let people know if an evacuation were to be needed. Not likely, but we have made that preparation. In terms of the frequency of the fires, office and the fire department will burn precisely to prevent this kind of thing, or to control some invasive species, etc. One of the things I saw today, just a moment ago, as I was taking a look to the southern part of the containment lines, is the chief and his team have been working on very controlled small burns of the areas that could potentially catch an ember, so to speak, if it were to fly from where the fires to the south, just before or beyond that barrier that is the gravel road towards the south. This will be an opportunity for us to become familiar with this kind of incident, but it's not, from my conversation with these folks, it's not something that could never happen again kind of thing. It's happening more frequently around the country. Just en español, para clarificar, ya voy en mi 8º año como juez del condado en este mandato. Nunca he visto un incendio de este tipo, incendios químicos, por ejemplo, pero nada de este tipo. Entonces pregunté, bueno, ¿qué tan común es esto? Y me han explicado que a veces se prenden un área para controlar precisamente el que haya una posibilidad de incendio, o inclusive para controlar especies invasivas, pero un incendio como este espontáneo no se ve normalmente. Sí se está viendo con más frecuencia alrededor del país, entonces no significa que nunca vaya a volver a suceder. La mejor situación sería que esto fuera básicamente práctica para todos, aprender de qué se trata un incendio forestal y cómo trabajamos todos juntos para responder. Hay hogares al sur y también al oeste de este perímetro. Entonces he preguntado, bueno, ¿cuántos hogares? Hacia el oeste siguen, podrían ser muchísimos. El riesgo es bajo. Y es por eso que fue mi primera pregunta: ¿cuál es el riesgo a las personas, a los hogares? Y me han explicado que se han preparado para la posibilidad y luego la contingencia y otra contingencia. Y si algo fuera a suceder, no probable, pero posible, entonces iríamos de puerta en puerta a avisar al público en esos vecindarios. Esto es algo serio, pero veo que los expertos trabajan muy bien y es algo que tal vez tengamos que acostumbrarnos. Ojalá no.
Sorry, do we know what exactly started the fire? I don't know if that was part of it.
So I'm not going to speak on that, but the Harris County Fire Marshal's Office has been leading that investigation. They've been talking with us. We've showed them what we've done, what we've seen. But as far as the investigation part, I'm going to have to defer to them.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am. No, thank you. And I just want to make it clear that because Houston is still fighting the fire actively and we defer to them, my team has been out surveying the area. We have started interviewing different residents in the area. But again, what we're trying to do is make sure we stay clear. We can get in there when the incident commander allows us additional access.
So it's unclear at this moment?
It's unclear, and you know, I want to make it, let me just always leave with a safety message. Just remember, whether you throw a cigarette out, whether you're riding an ATV, whatever you're doing, just remember those sparks can start something like this. And once it starts, that's what happens is it smolders. And so again, you know, as Chief said, they're putting a phenomenal break around it. And then once we can get in there, we'll take a look. But we may never know what caused it. But we are going to talk to residents and see what we can find. And if there's some mitigation we can do with flood control to maybe make that area a little bit safer to not see this in the future.
Especially during these times when everything's dry, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Is
Yes,
there one
ma'am.
more question?
Thank you.
If not, we'll just close it
¿Cómo
down.
debe prepararse la familia?
Las familias que viven en estos vecindarios, estar preparados para evacuar si fuera necesario. Como digo, la probabilidad es muy baja, pero bueno, si yo viviera en uno de estos hogares, yo lo haría por precaución, no sobra. Sé que las personas que tienen asma, sensibilidades pues a la contaminación, etcétera, ya deben de haber salido porque sí hay bastante humo. Ahorita que fuimos al área del sur del incendio, bastante humo, no suficiente como para que haga daño a individuos con salud promedio, pero fuera de eso, ver de esta noche a mañana por la tarde, la posibilidad de evacuación muy baja, pero existe. And you know, one of the things, you know, how can the neighborhoods prepare? If it were me, I'd prepare something in case, you know, I'd have to evacuate. Not likely, but, you know, you might as well. For folks who are sensitive to, you know, they have asthma or related issues, of course, they probably have already left their home just because there is quite a bit of smoke that has been blowing toward the south side. You know, the west side shouldn't be getting very much, and really it's going to move from blowing toward the south to blowing toward the north. And other than that, you know, we will keep everybody informed. And I feel very confident in these folks and these professionals being able to work together to keep tabs on the fire and respond accordingly. Thank you.